Hello, good hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. I have two 40% alcohol blended Scotch whiskey, aged 3 years, and with no website listing, unfortunately. They used to have a listing for both of these. There was actually, well, I'll explain. This is McCormick imported, that makes sense, Scotch whiskey, blended Scotch whiskey, aged 3 years, bottled in Missouri. Now they used to have this on their website. I never really saw it much around, honestly, but I did see it. Obviously, I'm holding some. My friend David found this in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana, and it was $4.99. Here comes the Kansas City Southern Railroad, westbound, looks like. No, eastbound. Sorry. Two engines. That makes me think it's been discontinued. No longer listed on the website, and a closeout sale. I would call it a closeout sale for $4.09 a liter. Well, he bought a bunch of bottles. He gave me one, but he couldn't stand it. He's like, "I'm buying a bunch of bottles. 10 bottles, $49.99. I mean, come on." And we're talking about liter bottles. But now the question was, but then he said, "Yeah, but I wonder if it's any good." I said, "Well, that was the risk." He said, "But it's not a risk. I don't think it's going to be bad." But he didn't know that. But he tried it, and then I tried it with him, and we were actually surprised. It was much better than we expected it to be. Burley Sullivan says, "You." Hey, Burley, cheers back to you. So, turned out to be a great buy. Just for the regular price, it would have been a nice buy. I saw this still listed on Specs website. They might have a lot of bottles left over from years ago. They got it running $18 for a liter, which is fair, but $4.99 is unreal. Now here is Clan MacGregor. This is the older label. You probably recognize this label. They've changed the label 3 times since I started seeing this whiskey. It used to have a red cap on it. This is an aluminum cap with a line on it. This product was introduced in 1934. I don't know who the original owner was. I could check that. But I know it's owned by William Grant and Sons today. They no longer listed on their website. They used to list a lot of stuff on their website, but then they just scaled it back to show only their premier brands, for whatever reason. Saz did the same thing. They went from comprehensive, showing everything, I mean, the most low-grade stuff, to only a few, I guess you'd say, the ones they're proud of. There used to be a Clan MacGregor website, and it would go into all kind of detail about the flavor notes, the aroma, and all of this, and it was a pretty nice thing. But I guess they figured, nah, it's not worth spending money on it. And they don't spend the money on it. It has a green glass bottle, which is good because it protects it from the light a little bit better than clear glass. But you notice it got a new label now with the big lion. It's big featuring a lion. And I've only seen in the last 4 years, I've only seen the big handle bottles, which are plastic. They're not the best. But still see it everywhere. Mathern's, Rouse's, Walmart, Winn-Dixie. Everybody sells Clan MacGregor. Any liquor store. Now, you know what? You can find those 375 milliliter bottles here and there. They're glass, but those aren't too common, but I've seen them. Why do they bottle these in the United States? Well, it's cheaper that way, according to an old advertisement I found for Clan MacGregor. Look how pale that is. I think the McCormick is not colored. I have no evidence except what I'm seeing. It could be a mirage. Maybe it is enhanced with caramel coloring, but it seemed like it'd be a little darker than pale straw. This one is pretty pale itself, but it has a little amber to it. So maybe Clan MacGregor's got a little caramel color added. That's allowed in Scotch, and they don't even have to disclose that. Do they have flavored Scotch whiskeys? Yes, but it'll say it on the label. You know, it's like Patty's honey or Buchanan's pineapple, but they got to put that, you know. But of course they're going to put it because they want you to buy it because it's flavored with pineapple flavoring. Of course they're going to put it on the label. That's what they're promoting. Herbie, is it made by Grant's? Yes. Clan MacGregor is owned by William Grant and Sons, but you'll never. I don't think they say that on the label. They try to distance themselves from it. Yeah, see, imported and bottled by Alexander MacGregor and Company, Edison, New Jersey. Well, that's not a company. That's just some shell name registered with the government under grants. Okay. A lot of people do that. I don't know why. I don't see the point of it. You know, just say it. You do it. You make it, you know. Don't try to hide from it. But oh, this is saying 1936. I thought it was 34. Well, I've made mistakes in the past. I'll make them in the future. Not too big of a mistake. Okay. You're saying 9. The U.S. United States Trademark Office is saying 1936. Yeah, I'll go with them. They probably know when it was. Actually, yeah, they would know, you would think. Okay, who owned it? Trademark history. The first company to own it was Popper Morrison Corporation. Popper Morrison. I don't know who that is, and I don't think they're around anymore. It's probably one of those distiller independent bottlers, which we have all across the United States. They don't make anything. They just bottle it, sell it, own the brands, or have an interest in the brands, something like that. The 10th owner is William Grant and Sons. Says it right there. The 10th new owner entered after registration, William Grant and Sons. So this thing been passed around. Another common thing, but 10 times in 91 years. That's a good. I think they said Grant's had it since 1969 though. I think that's what I was looking at just now. It's not important. I'm not going to go back to it. You say most people don't care. I'm sure that's true. Now, McCormick goes back to 1856. Their distillery was started in 1856, the Halliday Distillery in Western Missouri. Now, I don't know what they did during Prohibition. Maybe they made ice cream or something. That's what some companies did. Or made, industrial alcohol. Some of these companies probably were in tight with the government, so they made, some of the big companies made medicinal alcohol, medicinal whiskey. Apparently it was good for you if you got a prescription from a doctor. That's starting to make me think of a conspiracy theory that maybe the big companies were behind Prohibition all along. You said, well, why would they want to be behind that? Think about it. You got hundreds and hundreds of independent brewers, distillers, and winemakers across the United States. They don't like competition. These companies do not like competition. Could they have secretly pumped up all this Prohibition talk, get it passed? They can survive. And look at the big companies. I told you, I think it was 6 of them. I could be wrong in the number. I believe it was 6 whiskey companies were able to keep making whiskey during Prohibition as medical whiskey. Last 14 years, then it's repealed. Now America is starving for alcohol, so to speak. Although I know a lot of smuggling was going on and everything. But now they come back and all the little companies are gone. They all folded up, couldn't make it, went out of business. So I know Stroh's Beer Company made ice cream for years. They even had Stroh's ice cream at the store. They might still make it. I don't think Stroh's has anything to do with it. But they at one time they did, and then they cut it off, and some other people assume the rights to Stroh's ice cream. It might still be sold up there in Minnesota or somewhere like that, Detroit, something. And then you brought in the tier system, 3-tier system: producers, distributors, and retailers. Now, before Prohibition, there was no 3-tier system. You could have actual bar rooms that only sold certain brands, like in England today. Literally, they had Michelob bar rooms. You wanted to drink Michelob, you went to the bar, and they only sold Michelob there. You say, well, what's wrong with that? I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with it too. Then you had the distribution system set up, and they talk all kind of garbage about, oh, it's to protect the consumer. I love to know how that's protecting me. No, it's protecting you, the distributor, to have a monopoly, or near an oligarchy at least, a few distributors in each state. And a lot of the distributors were owned by the beer companies, their relatives, like Anheuser-Busch. They used to distribute their own beer. Okay, after Prohibition, they can't do that anymore. So guess what they did? The Bush family set up, like, his brother, his nephew, his cousin, his uncle, all over the United States. They had Southern Eagle, Midwest Eagle, Lone Star Eagle, whatever these distributors were called, and they're all owned by the Bush family. Oh, what a scam. Now, and that's to help you? No, that ain't helping you. It's supposed to be the land of the free. They say that, and the land of the free and the home of the brave was not free enterprise when it's controlled. It's controlled enterprise. All right. Free enterprise would be you could sell how you want to sell it, not sell how you're told to sell it. Just bought a bottle today. We'll drink today. Paul John Nirvana. Yeah, I've heard of Paul John whiskey, and I believe that's owned by the Sazerac company. And Sazerac owns a distillery. They own a distillery in India, in a place called Goa, India, which used to be Portuguese India until India attacked Portugal in 1961 and conquered those territories. But that's another story for another day. But yes, that distillery is directly owned by the Sazerac company, where they produce a lot of whiskey. All right. Cherry Cola says Yingling made ice cream during Prohibition. Yep. See what I mean? Now, so we could stand to have a lot more free enterprise here in this country. Honestly, I don't think too many people even know what that means. They don't understand free enterprise. But I'm trying to promote it, and teach people about it. I used to be a teacher. I taught high school. I retired. I had over 20 years in to the gig, No, I mean. Well, we did talk about those things in class because we had a class called Free Enterprise. Or you might call it economics, but that's what the name of the class was, Free Enterprise. Yes. Okay. This smells standard, just like basic Scotch whiskey. Is it smoky? Nope. Is it peaty? Nope. It just smells old. Could be Scotch, Irish, Canadian, American whiskey, Japanese, anything. Just standard. What do you expect for these prices? Oh, and by the way, when I bought that Clan MacGregor, I paid $5 for the bottle. I bought 2 bottles because Walmart was trying to get rid of the glass bottles. I said, something's going on. Well, I found out what was going on. They were only going to sell the big that might be all they sell now. I said, well, for $5, I'll buy 2 bottles. And I have 2. Well, I have this bottle, which is 35% full, and I got a full bottle, never opened it. $5. So both of these, I believe, were bought on closeout. Yeah, standard. I got to be careful that I don't, because I can see myself in the playback, that I don't see the tag and catch up on to what it is, because I got them labeled, M. If I see M, I'm gonna know that's McCormick, and then I'll be like, oh, no kind of challenge now. Okay, taste time. Honey. Now, I have been confused by the Clan MacGregor. I'm not the Clan McGregor, the McCormick. It's got me so baffled. I think I got it wrong like 5 times now. Why is that? Because I'm bad at tasting scotch? Could be, but I don't think that's the answer. I think the answer is that it's so similar to all the other run-of-the-mill scotch whiskeys, meaning they're just kind of standard. They taste good. Now, some people will say, oh, no, they're terrible. That's the worst. Nah, man, they're not terrible. They're not amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not terrible. They're just basic. It's like you drink a Coca-Cola, you don't say, oh, I can't believe it's so good. You just drink it because you're eating a ham sandwich and some chips. Now, if you had the cane sugar Coca-Cola from Mexico, yeah, you might be amazed by that because that's so much better than the current Coca-Cola that we get. I knew something had changed with Coca-Cola back in the 80s because it was like, stuff tastes sticky. I mean, sticky's not a taste, but it would feel sticky and dry. You'd be thirsty drinking Coke because they start using that high fructose corn syrup. Ugh. No, I don't think it's bad for you per se. The U.S. government claims it's no worse or better than sugar, same level of sweetness, but it's cheaper and it's subsidized. Corn is subsidized by the U.S. government. Yeah, once again, another glaring example of violating free enterprise. If that's not a bad example, if that's not a good example of a bad practice, there isn't any other examples. But I can't control it. I can try to influence, but I certainly can't control it. Same thing over here, just basic, but not really honey. Sugar sweetness, yeah, all whiskey to me tastes like sugar water. I just find that that's a lead flavor of whiskey now. You can laugh. But if I taste whiskey 1,000 times and it tastes like sugar water 1,000 times, I'm going to start getting the impression that's a flavor note. Now, when I first tried Clan MacGregor, that was the first scotch I ever tried. In fact, I thought it tasted mighty strange. Tastes like old cabinet wood from the old house. But you see, I wasn't used to scotch. And now I'm so used to it that I don't even detect those things that I used to find were odd. You might drink, you say, well, I never had scotch. You might taste it and say, oh, it's so weird, you know. But now I find Clan MacGregor is just so regular. But good. You see, that's the whole thing I said about the Coca-Cola. Just because something's regular doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not outstanding. It's just regular. You see. A lot of regular products are good. That's why they're popular. Taco Bell, the double stuffed taco. I had one yesterday. Was I amazed by it? Of course, you know the answer. No. Did I enjoy it? Yeah, I was hungry. Hit the spot. It was good. That's why it's popular. Why do you think Taco Bell is not popular? Because people hate it. All right. Budweiser is not popular because people hate it. But then some of these, if you want to call them beer snobs, I would call them that. They'll say stuff like, oh, they don't know good beer. In other words, they're drinking it in ignorance. They don't understand that it's bad. They think they like it. I'm like, I'm pretty sure they know they like it. And people would always rant on Corona Extra. That stuff's trash and nobody likes it. I'm like, why would it be the most popular Mexican beer? And now today it's Modelo. Another thing, well, they both from Modelo. How do you think it's going to be super popular if people hate it? You're not making any sense. That's the main reason I started this channel, just to get my input on Budweiser, because people were saying things. Now, if you want to say it's average, like you don't find it's too exciting, well, I'll go along with that. There's nothing really exciting about it. But to claim it's just outright bad and give it a 1 out of 100, it doesn't make any sense. You know yourself when you're drinking it's not no 1 out of 100. It's not even an F. I mean, you get below a 60, that's an F. I would say you couldn't even drink a beer that's an F. You'd probably get sick. Might have to go to the hospital. It'd be undrinkable. Undrinkable. D would be poor. A D would be poor. You could drink it, but you would hate it, and you would tell everybody this is the worst thing ever. This is horrible. But I can drink it. And Budweiser is definitely far above that. Phil says hello from Reunion Island, Jay. Oh, you're in France. Yes, I bet you guys watching this didn't, and maybe ladies too. You didn't know that France was located around the world. It's not just in Europe, but it's mainly in Europe. But France is like the United States. The United States is in North America, but also in the Pacific and Polynesia. There's a state. You say, I know, it's called Hawaii, right? That's not in North America. It's in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. But it's still in the United States. It's not just an area owned by the United States, it's part of the United States. It's one of the states. Reunion Island is part of France. It's not owned by France, it's part of France. They don't have states in France. They have departments, which we would call like a county. You know how states have counties? Well, they have departments. We have parishes in Louisiana. That's our subdivision, parishes. Jamaica has parishes, not counties. England has counties. Alaska has boroughs. But I mean, it's all about the same thing. But France has departments. France is only one state. France is a state, a nation state, a state for the French people. The French nation has a state called France. The Italian nation has a country called, or a state, a country and a state is the same thing, called Italy. The German nation has a country called Germany. The United States is a country, but it's not really a nation. There's no nation called Americans. It's a multi-ethnic country. It comes from all over the world. England, Germany, Ireland, France, Scotland, China, Nigeria. All right, that's another lesson for another day. But so some nations have a country. Some nations don't. All right. The Kurdish nation don't have a country called Kurdistan. They want one, but they don't have it, which is causing a lot of trouble out there in the Near East, Middle East, fighting and all of that. I think this is Clan MacGregor, and I'm saying that because there is the slightest little peat note, which you could approximate to a compost pile, which sounds terrible, which is why some people can't stand Scotch, because it tastes rotted to them. But it's very minimal. But it exists in this flavor. So I'm going to say this is the Clan MacGregor. Oh, but once again, I'm wrong. It's the McCormick. Oh, so I guess McCormick has a little peaty note also. Well, oh man, it is confounding to try to do these because, like I've just been saying, they're so similar. They're so regular. So you say, well, then you should just shop price. Exactly. Absolutely. When you find a bunch of products that are almost identical, why not just save money? Shop for the best price. I mean, you ain't gaining much if you say, oh, I buy Budweiser because that's my brand. But why is that your brand? You're paying way more per every 12 pack. Or if you buy a 30 pack, I don't see 30 packs of Budweiser ever. I'm sure they exist. They just don't sell them around here. Sell suitcases, the 24 pack all the time. But they're very elevated in price because you're buying the name. It's a well-known name and you're paying for the name. I don't pay for the name. I like it, but I don't like the price, so I don't buy it. But I did buy a substitute yesterday. It's called Natural Ice, or a 30 pack of Natural Ice. Pretty fresh package. Let me see if I can figure out 67th day of 2025. March 8th. Yeah, so it's not super fresh. That would have been April 8th or May 8th, but May 8th didn't happen yet, so it couldn't be that. A lot of times these beers seem like they take weeks and weeks to get to the store. I don't get that. They're making it right there in Houston. I know it's always made in Houston. Any Anheuser-Busch product we get, always say Houston. H-O-U. That's a 5-hour drive. I drove to Houston 2 weeks ago, and it took almost 2 weeks ago, a week and a half. It took me exactly 5 hours to get there, and I was taking the slow highway. I took the old highway once I got to Beaumont. Somebody told me, what's the old highway? I said, it's US Highway 90. It's the old, that used to be the only road basically to Houston, but they built Interstate 10, so it's much faster. But I said, I'm not in a rush. I said, let's see what the old road looks like, you know, how it's kind of nice to see how things develop, you know, and all new subdivisions built and everything. But still got there exactly 5 hours. Exactly 5 hours. It took me so long to get through Houston though, because somebody had a breakdown on the side of the highway, and that just killed the traffic. It was going at a snail's pace. I think it took me longer to get through Houston than to get to, well, it didn't, you know, it just seemed like forever. But to get to that where the traffic backed up in the middle of Houston downtown, it was 5 hours. Exactly. So why is it taking 2 months to get to the stores? That's my question. It takes hours to drive to Houston, but it takes 2 months for the beer to get canned and sent here? I don't get it. I mean, if they can the stuff on Wednesday and package it, it should be on the trucks by at the latest Thursday, and in our stores by what, Saturday at the worst? 2 months. And don't say it's just sitting on the shelf going old, because that beer sells like mad over there at Walmart. You'll go there sometime, be gone. But that's because it's sold out, especially if you go there on a Saturday morning. People on Friday night bought suitcases of that stuff, or the 6-pack of the tall cans, which is another popular format for it. So I don't know. I can't explain. But the whole point of that is I'll buy the cheaper one. Is it better than Budweiser? No. Is it worse than Budweiser? No way. No way. It's a little too strong now. 5.9. You drink a couple of those and you'll know it. But it's actually lower calories. I can't figure that out. It's got less calories. 135 calories, and Budweiser is 145. Getting more beer. I mean, you get more alcohol, but you get less calories now. It's a mystery. Okay, but anyway, the winner here is, there's no winner. I'm not the winner because I got it wrong. In a way, I'm the winner because my friend David gave me this bottle. That was a gift, so thank you for that, David. I paid $5 for this plus tax. So can you find a good scotch for a low price? Well, I did. I'm pointing at it right now. Clan MacGregor, you got that right. Okay, now we move on for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And that'll be the end of the scotch. So I got to break open that bottle of cognac and get on that because I haven't even reviewed it. Never opened it. Don't know if anybody else ever reviewed it. I hadn't even checked. But so coming up, we're going to have Johnny Walker Red Label, Johnny Walker Double Black, and Johnny Walker Gold Label Reserve. I cannot believe that I could ever get that wrong against McCormick. Now, I like McCormick, and I would recommend it if you happen to see a bottle still on the shelves. I'd buy another bottle. Not that I need to. But it cannot conceivably beat Johnny Walker Red, Double Black, or Gold Label Reserve. If that happens, I'll really be astounded. And then I'll start to worry, you know, but I can't see that happening. So don't look for that to happen. But then you never know. That's why I do blind taste tests. You think you know, but you don't know. But when you do the taste test, you will know. So that I'm looking forward to that. Yes. But those are much higher grade products. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be much of a challenge. And really, let's think about it. The ones I got it mixed up with were all similar products, mainly meaning basic products. So I got it confused with other basic products. You say, but you got it confused with Grant's. Yeah, but Grant's is a basic scotch. I mean, Grant's is nothing as special. You can get it for $17 sometimes, regular bottle, you know. You're not gonna find Johnny Walker Red Label for $17, maybe 8 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. But usually you're paying $23. Might find it on sale. They might have it on sale for $22. It's unlikely. So yeah, just stay tuned. And then on to brandy. I don't know if people are interested in cognac and brandy, cognac brandy, but I am interested in it, and I like to try them. So y'all take care. Thanks for watching. Bye bye, everybody. Have a good Tuesday.